UFC 317 is today, ladies and gentlemen, 7 p.m. Eastern, how do time zones work? 4 p.m. PST, and it is a banger of a card. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a pretty good card, man. I believe that, with the current state we're in MMA, to get a bunch of ranked fighters on the main card, to have a couple ranked guys on the prelims, we can't complain too much. But that being said, I am giving you guys my final predictions for each fight on the UFC 317 prelims, early prelims, and main card. So let's get right into this Money Manziel MMA production. Janata Denise versus Caillou. Alvin Hines, he kind of looks a little bit like Butterbean, but with traps. Like, he's got some decent traps on the kid. But, Janata Denise, he's coming off the loss to Marcin Tybura. Shout out to all the people that call me bedtime clones. But he's coming off the loss to Marcin Tybura. He had a bunch of knockouts before that, a lot of them in the first round. You can see 7 of his 8 wins are by knockout. Alvin Hines can do a little bit of everything, but if you break out the beakers and test tubes, you get in the lab a little bit, you'll see that Alvin Hines is not that skilled, man. It's a pretty big mismatch, I think, on the feet if Hines can't get Denise down. So for that reason, we're going round 1 KO for Denise. I am going to be going 100% on these. There's no way any one of these miss. Take it to the bank. Call your bookie. Take out $100,000. Get a second mortgage. Whatever you have to do. Put all your money on this round 1 KO. Next up, Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. This is a tricky one for me because it's not that I don't think that Jacoby Smith is going to win, but Nico Price is such a confusing case where, he got knocked out in under a minute by Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler knocked him out in under a minute in the clinch with a couple of uppercuts. Surely Jacoby Smith should knock him out in the first minute of the fight. But a lot of these fights tend to work out weirdly. Maybe it goes to the second round and you're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, Nico Price is actually hanging in there and then Smith gets it. I'm still going to say that Jacoby Smith knocks him out in the first round. I think we're starting with a bunch of round 1 KOs early. He's just too good. He's too powerful. He's too good of a wrestler. He could ground and pound him, honestly. Nico Price does not pose a legitimate enough threat to Jacoby Smith to do anything to him at this point in his career. So we're going Jacoby Smith round 1 KO. And I think we're going to get another round 1 KO here. Terrence McKinney and Slava Claus. This is a banger. I mean, everyone is going to tell you that this is a banger fight. Obviously, McKinney is actually a decent favorite, which is a little surprising to me given the nature of how he wins and loses. He's been finished or finished. Wait, no, he's finished someone off or finished them. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna edit that part out. Slava Claus, good finisher, great striking. Coming off the loss to Tom Nolan, which was very competitive. I think if that's not in Australia, you actually could have gotten a split decision there. He has a win over Mahashate. He has lost to Chase Hooper. I'm trying to remember who that win in the middle is versus. Maybe it is versus Mahashate. He had a crazy good fight with Nazim Sadikov, too, who just showed that he's legit last week. I am going to be going with Terrence McKinney. I'm very back and forth on this because you cannot bet on Terrence McKinney in most instances. But I will say that Slava Claus, for a guy that really has only been... has he been KO'd, actually? No, he hasn't been KO'd, but man, if you watch a Slava Claus fight, he gets rocked in almost every single fight. Sadikov dropped him, Hooper dropped him, Mahashate hurt him really bad. It's the type of thing where McKinney, in a normal circumstance, with the guy who fights the exact same way as Slava Claus, but has a good chin, he would be knocked out in the first round. But because Slava Claus has a bad chin, I'm going to say we get 3 round 1 KOs to start this card. I think Terrence McKinney gets it done. He seems like he's in good spirits. I like that. Coming off a good win. He's actually 3-1 in his last 4, which I had no clue about. But either way, Terrence McKinney round 1 KO. The fight that we are all looking forward to on this card, Tracy Cortez versus Viviani Arojo. It's a tricky fight because Arojo is pretty legit for the first 2 rounds. I'd say more like 7 minutes. But she is 38. She lost to Natalia Silva, which, you can't blame her. Natalia Silva's pretty good, but it was dominant. She beat Karini Silva, but it was a close fight, which was on a pay-per-view, by the way. Let you know where we are at in the UFC. But the most important thing, by the way, I'm telling you right now, I'm picking Tracy Cortez before I even get to the graphic, but look at this thing on the right here. 11-2 win-loss. That's fantastic. Good for you. You're 11-2 as a professional fighter. That's awesome. 1-0 by KO, 1-1 by sub. You're telling me in 13 fights you have finished 2 people. You finished 2 people in 13 fights. We have to be better than this, man. I like Tracy Cortez a lot. I'll say it in a second. But 2 finishes and 11 wins, man. I mean, what are we doing in women's MMA? But regardless of that, we're going with Tracy Cortez by women's MMA level decision. Listen, you know, it gets to a point where you just know it's going to be a 29-28 kind of stand-up. Maybe she defends a few takedowns. Maybe she, hurts her in moments. But Tracy Cortez is going to win a normal-ass decision. It's just going to be like a 29-28 with 130-27 on the scorecards. But, obviously she's got that baddie plot armor. Tracy Cortez is bad as shit. Listen, each one of us watching this video would all slime our girl out to get put in a triangle by Tracy Cortez. You're telling me that you would not absolutely slime your girl out for Tracy Cortez to... She's putting you in an armbar maybe, like a triangle armbar situation. You're putting yourself in that spot. Full mount with Tracy Cortez. You're sliming someone out for that. So, it is what it is. Tracy Cortez, 29-28 decision win. What the fuck am I talking about? Jose Delgado and Haider Emil, also a banger. Obviously, these two are featherweights, finishers. Haider Emil actually has less finishes than he really fights. He fights like a guy that's going to kill you, basically, in there. And Jose Delgado's finished every one of his wins. His one loss is a decision. For that reason, I'm going Haider Emil with decision. I think this is going to be the type of fight where you have 3 knockdowns or some guy gets hurt big in moments. It could be Haider that gets hurt big in moments. But it's a fight where it hits the final scorecard and John Anik's well, I have no idea how we've touched the scorecards here today, but we've done it and, we will get a judge's decision in a few seconds. It's going to be a crazy fight back and forth. It has to be. The way these two fight, there's no way it's not a banger. I do think there's a world where Haider just eats a bunch of shots and comes forward with the pressure and gets a close decision. So I'm going to say cinema level decision for Haider Emil. I think it's going to be a banger before Robocop and Jack Hermanson. Also a great fight, by the way. Gregory Rodriguez, obviously insanely powerful. He's got 13 finishes and 16 wins. Jack Hermanson has a lot of finishes, weirdly, for a guy that I've never seen finish a fight. I believe Hermanson's last finish was that 1 minute leg lock versus Kelvin Gastelum. I think everyone kind of likes to forget that fight happened, but it did. He's also been finished in 5 of his 8 losses. Robocop's been finished in 4 of 6. I'd be curious to see if this fight does go the distance or not. I like to think it will, but I'm going to say that Robocop slimes out Jack Hermanson. And I'm going to tell you why, because there's 2 angles you can play here. Really 3. There's a world where Hermanson point fights his way to a weird 30-27. He could defend takedowns, just kind of piece up Robocop at range, and you're like, whoa, that was fucking easy for an underdog. You could also get Robocop doing clinch work. Maybe he knocks Hermanson down in a moment, but he just kind of grinds out a close 2-1 or even a 3-0 where the rounds are close scorecard. I'm going with the third parallel universe, which is that Jack Hermanson was dropped bad by Marvin Vettori. Go watch that fight. Jack Hermanson, I believe in the first round, was hit with a left hand that floored him by Marvin Vettori, of all people. This is a guy that's never finished anybody in his life. He's never even finished his girlfriend. So I'm going to say that Robocop lands a nasty shot that puts Hermanson down, and I think Robocop's got better finishing potential than Hermanson, so I'm going to side with that. And we're going to say a round 1 KO to transition us right into a banger of a main card opener. Payton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. I'm very back and forth on this fight. I like Payton Talbot a lot. I think his style's cool. Even for a flat-footed guy, he's super dynamic with his punches and kicks and knees and elbows. Raoni Barcelos was a nightmare matchup for him looking back. Crazy pressure, especially for a guy that's flat-footed. It'll cause you problems. Now, the issue is that Felipe Lima is a pressure fighter with great striking and even better grappling. He is a legitimate BJJ black belt, high level. I think he's 3rd degree or 4th degree black belt. And Felipe Lima, while he only has 3 subs, we know how legit he is on the ground. I think if he wants to wrestle Payton Talbot, he will, and he will succeed. I don't think you can make enough improvements from January to June in your wrestling. I know he knows how to wrestle because Tracy Cortez's brother went like 1 of 17 on takedowns versus him. So he could obviously defend them. I just think it was a perfect storm for Barcelos. And I do believe that Lima... Oh, shit. I do believe that Lima is going to get a second-round submission. I see a world where Talbot is competitive in the first. Maybe he has a couple sweeps off his back, and they get back to the feet, and it's kind of comp, and you're like, oh, maybe Payton Talbot took that first round. I think in the second round, you see what we saw at the end of the Talbot Barcelos fight, where Talbot was giving up his back willingly to be submitted, kind of just get him out of there and stop eating punches at the end. I think that there's a world where Lima gets the back of Talbot, and if you give a guy like Felipe Lima the back, he can hit you with the rear naked choke just like he did in Imov. I could really see a world where now at bantamweight, where Lima comes in and Lima submits him. So we're going with Felipe Lima's second round mogging. Fuck. Alright, fuck. Alright, I'm editing that part out also. Beneil Dariush versus Hinata Moicano. You already saw, if you cheated and you paused the screen to see what I said here. I think Beneil Dariush is going to knock out Hinata Moicano. I know that's crazy. I know he's only got 5 KO wins. But man, people don't want to admit this. Hinata Moicano's chin is incredibly suspect, and his striking is terrible on the feet. You could see it in the Makhachev exchanges, but people kind of chalk that up to whatever it may be. But when it comes to Moicano in his striking, he's been knocked out 3 different times. The corpse of Benoit Saint-Denis beat him in the second round. Like, outstruck him with... He could not see out of either eye. He had blood all over the place, and he won the second round versus Hinata Moicano. So, for me, I look at this fight, and I'm like, okay, Hinata Moicano, I believe, is a little bit better of top control than Beneil, but Beneil could probably get off his back and defend takedowns. He did a really good job versus Gamrot. So, in my mind, it's going to be kickboxing. Now, I don't think Moicano can hit that hard. I know he, hurt Jalen Turner in moments, and, he's capable of hurting people, I guess. I mean, I'm kind of just bullshitting. I don't really think he can. But Dariush dropped Gamrot, which I know isn't saying much. Gamrot's chin is incredibly suspect, but clean left hand, knocked out Drakkar Klose. He has a bunch of other KOs, 3 other KOs. But he can legitimately crack, man. And I think people are going to see that in this fight, that if he can put a left hand on Moicano's chin at some point in this fight, Moicano's going to go down because he's old and his chin isn't great. And Beneil Dariush, without the striking threat of Moicano, can genuinely kind of sit at range on the feet and work feints and work level changes. And I think that Beneil Dariush is going to knock him out. Now, first round, I know I'm excited about this in this graphic. First round might be a bit of a stretch. I'm fine with admitting that. But I see a world where Beneil Dariush lands that left hand early and Moicano goes down and he hurts him and finishes him. I think that this is a world that exists. I don't know if we're going to see it tonight. I'm making it my prediction just so I can be the hipster that picked it. But we're going to go Beneil Dariush first round KO. Why not? Featured fight of this main card. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. This is a great fight, man. Brandon Royval always brings it. Joshua Van always brings it. 2 crazy, exciting boxing-heavy styles. Both have cardio for days. Both have won their last couple of fights. Both are pretty young. I mean, Van obviously being 23 seems way younger than Royval, but 32 is your prime at flyweight. So, it's a big fight for both guys. Josh Van obviously fought at the last pay-per-view 3 weeks ago. But I'm going to go Brandon Royval, and I hate to say this, man, because I really like Joshua Van. I'm rooting for him tonight. I could see Royval getting a robbery decision. I bet he splits open Josh Van or hurts him in a moment with a nice cross that maybe staggers Van. And Van will have the pressure the whole fight, but Royval might be landing the harder shots. It's a tricky fight to kind of look at on paper and be like, fuck, who wins this? That's why the odds are so close. But I could see a robbery for Royval, and then the UFC is going to be like, fuck, we have to give this guy a title shot now. Maybe they make him wait out for a while and have Pantoja fight someone else, but I see a world where we get a robbery decision for Brandon Royval. Co-main event of the night. Kai Kara France versus Alexandre Pantoja. Guys, I have a unique take on this fight that I have not seen a lot of people saying. And I've obviously done a breakdown of this fight earlier in the week. You can go watch that. I think a lot of people watched it, actually, so thanks for that. But my take on this fight with Kara France and Pantoja, I think KKF wins a decision. I think it sounds crazy because everyone knows him as this knockout machine and, oh, the power, man, he's a marauder. Look at this knockout over Steve Erceg and Cody Garbrandt. Both guys, by the way, Garbrandt's been rocked by an ant that's walked by him, and Erceg got rocked by Brandon Moreno. So I don't really rate that much in terms of his power. But I will say that he has a really good takedown defense. I believe it's the best at flyweight percentage-wise. So if Pantoja has to strike with him, Pantoja's tough as hell. He can eat shots. I could see a world where KKF, via that fucking tongue shit that he does, I'm not going to hate on it. It's his culture. Do you, I guess, even though his real name is James. But I could see a world where he wins a really close decision. Pantoja loves a split decision, razor-thin fight. I think KKF is going to give him that. And we get a split decision win for Kai Kara France. I think that's like the craziest sharp thing that I'm predicting in this, and I actually think it's the most likely to happen. Main event of the evening. Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. Ilia is a over 5-1 favorite in this fight. He's finished 14 of 16. Charles has finished 31 of 35. Coming off the win over Chandler, Ilia coming off of wins over Holloway, Volk, and Josh Emmett, which is kind of strange to throw in there, but that is what it is. Guys, Ilia's gonna kill him. Like, I keep trying to gaslight myself into picking Charles because of the like cool edits I'm getting on TikTok and Instagram Reels. But the reality is, man, Ilia hits so fucking hard. And if Gaethje hurt Oliveira bad twice, Poirier hurt him bad twice, Chandler hurt him bad in both fights that they had. Who else has Oliveira fought that's hurt him bad? He got knocked out a bunch early in his career, but it's irrelevant. Islam hurt him on the feet after a jumping shot. I think Ilia's going to have a similar knockout to Islam, where it's not going to be a club and sub, but Ilia will land something off of that teep that Charles throws, like a big right hand. I could see an unconscious KO. Like, I think Oliveira could get flatlined in there because of how bad his striking defense is, and it's a perfect matchup for Taporia to take the throne. I think he's going to win this fight and then defend versus fucking Justin Gaethje. But I think he's literally going to decapitate Charles, and I will start crying if this happens at the watch party I'm going to. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. You know, I'm actually recording this on the day of the fight. So, we got to appreciate the consistency and the drive to get these videos out. Hoping the fights are amazing tonight. I hope everyone is able to watch. It should be a great card, man. Hopefully we get a good pay-per-view for once. Really, since like 314, we haven't had one that I've said has been a great fight card. But wish for the best. Hope you boys have a great fight day. Subscribe, like, comment down below. Let me know what you want me to change about these videos. And now that more people are watching them, I obviously will take recommendations and whatever else to make this channel as good as possible. So thank you so much for watching. Follow my TikTok, Money Manziel MMA. It'll be in the description down below. And I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace.